Now, for the latest in the Miami Dolphins bullying case, the NFL Players Union is calling on the league to uphold its responsibility to maintain a safe workplace for players. It follows revelations and the suspension of Miami Dolphins offensive lineman Richie Incognito, who allegedly unleashed vicious and racist messages on teammate Jonathan Martin. But former Miami star Ricky Williams chimed in Tuesday saying that the NFL isn't for everyone and the matter should be handled internally by the players. Well, in his memoir, Man in the Middle, former NBA center John Amaechi describes the loneliness of trying to fit in as a gay professional athlete in the same locker room culture that has attacked Jonathan Martin. Amaechi is also a psychologist and the CEO of Amaechi Performance, a human resources and business development firm, and he joins us via Skype from London. John, thank you so much for being with us. I do appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Although I certainly understand that the circumstances surrounding some of the bullying that you experienced as being gay is different than Jonathan Martin, because it seems that this is around him being a rookie. Can you sort of talk about what the normal culture in the locker room of a professional sport is like?
Well, I think we have to accept the fact that within sports, there is a context created that is very different than what one might experience in another organization. Most businesses do not tolerate the kind of things that we've heard of, even in forget the voicemails, which I think are quite extraordinary. Even things like expecting rookies, first-year players, to foot $30,000 bills or $15,000 bills for extravagant trips for veterans to Vegas. That type of thing is not normal. However, in the context of this, we have to realize that there is nothing about this toxic locker room environment that is good for Miami in terms of winning games. And that's the bottom line. I'm not here to talk about how this locker room needs to be more politically correct or how this locker room needs to be more like an NBA locker room, for example. I'm simply saying if Miami wants to win, then they need to accept that they do that with a diversity of players, a diversity of personality of players within their locker room. And expecting them all to be resilient in the face of what clearly is some fairly significant psychological and emotional abuse is not realistic. This is not a question of the weakness of Jonathan Martin. This is a question of the abuse of Richie Incognito.
I understand that. That being said, there are some that have vocalized criticism or at least doubt about Jonathan Martin, that if he couldn't take it, that he shouldn't be in this environment. Some have even, called him names, implying that, he just didn't have the fortitude to take this rough and tumble world. Is there any validity to that argument? Should he have a thicker skin?
No, there's no. Thicker skin applies if you suggest that I don't know his position per se, but if you suggest that he's not doing his job well on the field in a joking way, even having a thick skin is about that. Having a thick skin because you've suggested on a daily basis that you're going to defecate in his mouth, that you're going to kill him, that you're going to slap his mother around. I'm not sure in what context we accept that that is normal. That isn't. All of this abuse is being couched in the word hazing, in the service of team building. Is there anybody out there who really thinks that this is the way that teams are brought together? Yeah, you know what? Sometimes there is a crucible in sports that you are tested through. The difference is that in that crucible environment, you're in it together against an enemy that is trying to defeat you. This is a case where a team is ripping itself apart from the inside, and that is not the same thing. This is a pure case of bullying.
Tell me what you make of the seeming indifference, at least at first, of the organization, of the front office staff, the Miami Dolphins. At first, they said they weren't aware of anything, that there had been no complaints. And then, of course, they issued in the same day a statement suspending Richie Incognito. Should the staff have stepped in? And in addition to that question, let me ask you this, John. Is it plausible that the coaching staff and head coach could not have known about such reprehensible behavior?
Well, to answer your second question first, it's completely implausible. It's completely implausible that the coaching staff didn't know what was going on. I've played professional basketball in the NBA. I've met and know a number of NFL players and coaches, in fact, and they are fully aware of what's going on in their locker rooms. The question is whether they decide to act or not. Tony Dungy, a very well-respected coach, said the other day that this hazing, toxic culture is something that you either allow or you don't allow. And he suggested that it is an abdication of responsibility of a head coach when this happens. And I believe that to be true. There is nothing about this atmosphere that's about performance. It's about twisted tradition.
And there's also seemingly an issue about whether or not this should be a conversation for public discourse. Ricky Williams came out and said this is something that should be handled internally. I interpret that to mean, as was common in my community growing up, that you should not air your dirty laundry. Did Jonathan Martin break some sort of pro-athlete code by going public with these things? Should it have been handled internally?
Let's make no mistake, this has been going on, at least according to the records that we've seen so far, for 2 years. I'm not exactly sure how much more any individual is supposed to endure. I would hazard a guess that there are a few workplaces that people who watch this show would be working in where they would tolerate this kind of abuse for 2 years with no action, with no expectation of support. And that's clearly what he's had. He checked himself into a hospital. This is not a question of him going straight to the newspapers. He left his team and checked himself into a hospital. If that is not a cry for help, I don't know what is.
Well, speaking of support, are there measures in place within pro sports for support, whether it's the Players Association or I know that some teams have chaplains and local Bible studies. Is there a system of support for a place for the athlete to go to get through these types of tough challenges?
I think we have to be fair and say that it does seem as if the NFL Players Association has taken a very proactive approach to this. My only criticism of them would be that this is too late. It shouldn't be a case of waiting till some tragedy happens to try and respond to it. It should be a case of making sure that a culture that is appropriate is happening within locker rooms. And I'm not saying the same culture as you get if you worked at Walmart. I'm simply saying a culture that's appropriate, that allows for different types of people to flourish. That should be an expectation if you want to win, not just because you want to be nice, not because you want to be politically correct, but because you want to win.
Yep. More voices like yours need to be out there. Again, your book is called Man in the Middle, and let me say thank you, John, for staying up so late. You're in London, so it's a lot later there than it is here. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care. And this is Arise America.